My name is Sandeep, and I help businesses and leaders who are looking for a better way. I'm an executive coach, facilitator, a writer, and a speaker, and I'm an expert in culture and consciousness. Today's subject is very interesting: 10 reasons why leaders fail and how to avoid them. There are two dimensions to it: reason and the cause. So the first is the reason. When something happens, you always look for the reason. And when you have to get away from the reason or amend it, then you look for the cause. We use these words reason and cause interchangeably, but the fact is they are different. The cause is a level deeper than the reason. The cause is what makes reason happen. So, okay, now we have two options before us. Number one, first we lay the context of the topic of the day. And this option two is we straightway jump into the solution part. As per you, which is a better option? Come on, guys. Answer, which is a better option? First to lay the context, or to forget the context and just straightway jump into solutions? Abhishek says context. Context, first one. Okay, yes, setting the context is very important, because when you set the context, you are focused, you are to the point, you don't go here and there. And it reminds me, a very senior government official was a friend of mine, a highly knowledgeable person in the field of science, research, and people were prepared to pay him lakhs for the knowledge he possessed. But the challenge was, he was always eager. He was always eager to give his opinion. He never waited for the context to be set. As a result, wherever he went, one person used to sit next to him and nudge him, "Sir, you're going off context." And that you could make out, with people, the audience yawning, showing disinterest, etc., etc. So if you want to find a solution and you want to be focused, we need to lay the context first. Okay, so in terms of today's lesson, I won't say lesson, in discussion, interaction, what is the context? The context is, what is a leader? Come on, guys, who is a leader? The CEO is the leader, Reva says. Someone else? I think we discussed this thing last time also. Lead the team, the person who is held responsible. Okay? All of you are right partially. Man with the vision, Vivan says, yes, that's all these things are one or two of the qualities. Innovations distinguish between leader and followers. Okay, the simplest and the best definition of leadership, which I have read and really practiced, that is of Colin Powell. Now, Colin Powell was a 4-star US Army retired general. He's a big motivational speaker now, an executive coach. He says, leadership is all about people. That's it. Leadership is all about people. It is not about plans. It is not about strategies. And on top of it, now, let's impose what Peter Drucker says. Peter Drucker says leadership is getting people to do the right thing. Now, since the world is dynamic, things keep on changing. So he says leadership is all about adaptability and making people do the right things. And on top of it. Now let's see what Steve Jobs says. Steve Jobs says, leadership is about persuading people to do things which they believed they never could do, which means leadership is all about telling people, helping people to find their potential and unleashing their potential. Now, as we go forward, what I would suggest is all of you imagine yourselves to be the followers. And whatever I'm saying, imagine if your leader behaved that way, how would you react? Is it okay? So I thought to turn it into a fun game, right? Of self-analysis also. Are you guys game? Put a hi, put a yes. Abhishek says yes. What about the others? Vivan says yes. Kune says yeah. Ha. Brilliant. Okay, guys, you are the followers. Now just imagine your leader is self-opinionated, is not flexible, is not open. How would you feel? Obviously bad, frustrated. Now, let's imagine your leader is not adaptable. Things are changing. Circumstances have changed. He or she is still caught up in the old scenario, is not adaptable. How would it make you feel? Frustrated? Stuck? Brilliant. Your leader is not consistent. In the morning, he or she says something, in the afternoon, something else, in the evening, something else. How would you feel? Nervous. Your leader is low on energies. The comment says, okay, Vivan, okay, Abhishek, please do this thing. There's no energy in your leader. How would the atmosphere be? Would you be motivated? Obviously, no. Boring. Brilliant. And your leader is not stable. Again, it'll be very frustrating. So what do we get out of this flexible, adaptable, consistent, energized, and stable? We get FACES, the acronym FACES. So if you want to be a good leader, an effective leader, you got to remember FACES, okay? Meaning you got to be flexible, adaptable, consistent, energized, and stable. Now let's move ahead. Now, as you all guys said that, okay, leader is the main man, the CEO, the decision maker, the person with the vision, the person leading, basically showing the torch and showing the path. Now what you find is that the leader makes a mistake and does not own the mistake. How would you feel? Your leader has made a mistake. It's very clear he or she has made a mistake, but is not taking the ownership. How would you feel? It would be double standards, okay? Now, or your leader is very much there and is not seeing things the way they should be seeing. Your leader is very much there. Things are happening in front of him or her, but is not seeing them, is not witnessing them, is ignoring them. Won't that make you feel angry? Won't that make you feel frustrated? And then, when it comes to narration, your leader is narrating it in a very sugar-coated manner, is going here, is going there, is not narrating it the way it should be narrated. he or she is giving stories, talking about themselves, their past experiences, obviously you'll say the entire atmosphere sucks. You'll be demotivated. So out of this, ownership, witnessing, and narration, what do we get? Own. Now, own again, like faces, first is faces, then you own up. When I say own up, what do you mean is take the ownership, witness properly, narrate effectively. Because without narration, there's going to be no communication with the team. Next is, what you find that your leader is not self-aware, is not aware about the team dynamics, what's happening in the team, and is not aware about the policies, about the environment, about the strategies, about the values of the organization. Would you be happy working under such a leader? At least I would not be. So therefore, if you want to be that influencer, you want people to follow you, it is very essential that you are self-aware. And now when I say self-aware, what I mean is, why do you behave in the manner you do? And it's only when you become self-aware, you start understanding the other person. And when you start understanding the other person, you start understanding the emotions of the team. And now as a leader, you got to manage all these things within the organizational framework, the strategies, the values, the structure. So self-awareness, team awareness, and organizational awareness are nested into one to become an effective and an efficient leader. Okay, now you are stuck at a problem. And the leader is supposed to be the go-to man or the go-to person, woman. You are stuck. You go to that person. The person doesn't answer you, doesn't guide you, you are in distress, doesn't help you to soothe you. What happens? Again, demotivation. Similarly, the person is not helping the team to succeed. Would the team be prepared to go the extra mile? Would the team be prepared to slog themselves off? Would there be cohesiveness in the team? Obviously, no. The team would disintegrate. So in sum total, if you want to become a good leader, you have to become the friend, the philosopher, and the guide to your team. Does it make sense to you? Say yes or no. To become a good leader, you have to become the friend, philosopher, and guide to your team. Oh, I'm very happy. All our yeses. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, now let's go forward. You see, this way I can go on and there'll be a huge laundry list of what the leader should do. And if we do a Google search, why do leaders fail, or the reasons behind leaders' failure, we get a list of 10, 12, usually reasons. Now, George Coliserin is an American psychologist, an organizational psychologist, and a motivational speaker and an executive leader. Now, he is a very well-regarded, well-acknowledged person, and he gives us 10 points. And then we'll get into the causes, that what are the causes? What are the reasons? How can we avoid them? What George says, not taking time to bond with people. He's right. Because if leadership is all about people and you're not bonding with people, then how would you know the people? How would you help them? How would you guide them? Number 2, being unavailable and inaccessible. if the leader is confined to his cabin, is always busy in something or the other, is not accessible for you, is not there to answer your queries, is not there to guide you, how would you feel? You'll say the leader sucks. Now, this man or woman is so caught up in his own thoughts, in his own mechanism to achieve the goals, that he or she has forgotten to build talent. As a result, no new opportunities are coming for the team. There's no motivation for the team. There's nothing for the team to look forward to. Obviously, the team will not perform well. But now there are a lot of leaders who don't give a feedback. And in case they give a feedback, it's in a very cut and dry manner. It is a bulleted feedback and usually a negative feedback or unconstructive feedback. Now, what happens when you get an unfriendly feedback? I'm using the word unfriendly, or a negative feedback, or an unconstructive feedback. What happens? How would you react? Yeah, I'm waiting for some comments. Okay, Reva says, I did not get it. Say, I'm the boss, you are coming to me, and you know that I'm going to only point out your mistakes. Lose interest in work. Or I'm going to talk negative. I'm only going to sermon you, preach. What's going to happen? You will shut yourself off. You will be there, but you will not listen, because your brain, anticipates. Okay, now let me put it this way. For the brain, emotional pain or physical pain, there's no difference. And what I, as a leader, giving negative information to you or negative feedback, I am causing you emotional pain. So automatically your brain shuts off. You lose interest. You are disconnected, not taking emotions into account. I am only leading with my head, not my heart. Will you feel connected to me? No, you will not feel connected. Now, managing conflict ineffectively. Now, this is a very ticklish thing, Wherever people work, conflict is bound to be there. Now, leaders are supposed to manage them very effectively. They got to have a balanced approach. But now, leaders who get swayed away, leaders who got a weak ear, leaders who do not do their homework properly, leaders who surround themselves with yes man, they tend to take sides. As a result, instead of resolving conflict, they create further conflict. Then, a lot of leaders, they avoid change. They just want to go the routine way, because some way they themselves are highly insecure, because change is always taking you into a domain, an unknown domain. You are not very sure of the results. So leaders, they do not drive change. They are not encouraging. Their motivation mechanism is very different, and they tend to manage activities rather than people. Again, like I said earlier, the list can go on, but these are certain main points. And now let us look into the root cause. How can we avoid them? So we become better leaders, we become efficient leaders, we become authentic leaders, and we become popular leaders. The first thing is to align your purpose, thoughts, and action. You can note it down. Because when you do not align your purpose, thoughts, and action, invariably you mess up. what you do is not justified, it is inappropriate and not sufficient. Now, let me take a very simple example. You want to go to New York. You are doing a Google search on London. How's the weather? Where can you stay in London? And you are buying a ticket to Tokyo. What will happen? Fiasco? Will you reach New York? Obviously, no. Another example, your purpose, let's say, is to become an engineer. Now, when you go to college, that's the 11th and the 12th, right? Instead of maths, physics, chemistry, you'll end up taking biology. So instead of maths, you'll end up taking biology. And when it comes to taking the medical entrance, engineering entrance exam, you'll end up taking the chartered accountancy entrance exam. What is going to happen? Failure. So whether in life, personal or social or professional, it is very important for us to align our purpose, thoughts, and actions. The purpose is your vision, is your destination. The thoughts are the mission, is the vehicle which will take you to your destination. And actions are your values and competencies, which will act as the fuel to the vehicle to take you to your destination. So the first thing is, when people, they do not align their purpose, thoughts, and actions, they do not become effective and good leaders. Number two, when leaders surround themselves with yes man. Now what happens? Especially as you keep going up, as you keep progressing or climbing up the corporate ladder, your time tends to shrink because your responsibilities are going up, you are burdened with more work, and you need to delegate and rely on people. Now you have two options. One is hire people who are better than you and give them the freedom to speak you, to help you, to take actions. And the other is you hire people who are yes man. They will speak what you want to hear. And as you go up, it is found that a lot of leaders have got this tendency to surround themselves with yes man. And all these yes man only speak what the leader wants to hear, and the leader believes that he or she is doing a great job, but the truth is, on the popularity scale, the leader is very low. So the second thing is, do not surround yourself with yes man. Number three, when leaders are not self-aware. When leaders are not self-aware, they tend to react instead of response. So the cause is lack of self-awareness, and you got to be self-aware. And how do you build self-awareness? It's a 4-step formula. Number one, you learn to manage your attention. Because wherever attention goes or falls upon, that thing grows and action happens over there. Learn to manage your attention. Number two is observation. You've got to be awake to what's happening outside and aware of what's happening inside, because it is the inside which makes you react to the outside. And the reaction is also always driven by your past experiences, is always driven to keep you safe, which might or might not be suitable for the present circumstances. The third thing is pause. Now, pause is what? Whenever an external stimuli comes in, your brain reacts at that point of time. Take a step back, take a deep breath, allow that sensation of reaction or that impulse to react pass away, think, and proceed. Now, what happens when you do this thing? Your attention or the stimulus, or let's put it this way, the emotional brain which sends the stimulus to react passes away, your rational brain comes into picture, and you take a considered decision, a thoughtful decision, and you respond. And the last is accept. Accept means accept reality as it is without any filters. So, to become self-aware and get rid of reactions, what the leader needs to do is to work upon his or her self-awareness by managing their attention, observing what is happening inside and outside, learning to pause, and finally accepting things as they are on as-is, where-is basis. And this automatically would help you to not react, but to respond. Now, a lot of leaders believe that they know everything. And I'm sure even you must have come across such people telling you, "Arey, bata rahe hain na, I'm telling you, this is the right way." As if, and they speak it with so much confidence. But the truth is, they don't know so therefore, and why is it happening? Because they do not have a learner's mind, a beginner's mind, a curious mind. So to become a good leader and not to commit the mistakes, you've got to have a curious mind. You've got to have a beginner's mind. And you must have seen certain leaders, who never take a stand, who want to please everyone. And Bill Cosby is the American comedian, very successful. Probably I think he's the first black comedian to be so successful in Hollywood. So someone asked him, said, "Bill, what is the secret of your success?" So he said, "Well, I don't know the secret of my success, but I know the formula for failure. Try to please everyone." So, one of the biggest mistakes leaders do, which makes them fail, is trying to please everyone. No. Administration, which is a part of leadership, is a thankless job. When you take decisions, it's going to soothe some, put some in distress, some would be happy, some would be sad, some would be neutral, but then that is your job, to take the decision in the interest of the team, in the interest of the organization. Procrastination, a lot of leaders, they procrastinate, they create crisis, the team goes totally berserk, the team is always on tenterhooks, the team is not certain, and as a result, the team gets demotivated. So one of the reasons leaders fail, or the causes, not reasons, the causes leaders fail, is procrastination and not taking decisions in time. And I've seen this thing, in my practice very often, that the leaders tend to feel insecure if there is someone more intelligent than that person. There's no need to be insecure. The leaders need to feel secure because the other person is a part of your team. The other person is helping you. And when the team wins, you win. The other person is not there to dislodge you. And why are you so insecure? Why are the leaders so insecure? What is the cause for the leaders to be so insecure? Because somewhere they know their challenges and are not taking steps to remedy or to get out of their challenges. And one of the other causes for leaders to fail is when leaders do not operate out of humility and compassion. Would you like to work under a leader who is not humble, who is not compassionate? Yes or no? Yes. Kun says no, Riva says no, Vivan says no. So yes, the leaders need to be humble. Everyone knows they are the leader. The followers also know they are the bosses. And being humble is not going to cost them anything. Being compassionate is not going to cost them anything. On the contrary, it's only going to help them to earn the brownie points. It's going to earn them endearment and loyalty. Now, over here, I would like to make one point. That is empathy and compassion. Today, you must be seeing and reading empathy, empathy, empathy. Yes, empathy is brilliant. But when empathy is practiced without the principle of integration with differentiation, empathy becomes negative empathy. It means that you also start feeling the pain and experiencing the pain which the other person is experiencing. And if you, which in another word means you become a clone of the other person. So if you become a clone of the other person, would you be in a position to help? Obviously, no. Now, compassion, which is the next step of empathy, I prefer that. Why? Because in compassion comes the ambition to help the other person. And this ambition enables or makes the brain treat compassion or process compassion in a different area. So empathy is processed in a different area of the brain, and compassion is processed in a different area of the brain. And the area in which compassion is processed, that area of brain has got no negative impact on us. So compassion is much more powerful. And the lastly is when the leader is a cabin potato. You know, like for TV, we say the couch potato with a remote in the hand, sitting, and you're just surfing channels and you're ordering everyone around to do your stuff. Similarly, there are certain leaders, they are cabin potatoes. They are not prepared to leave their cabin. They want everything in the cabin. Now, these guys are bound to fail because their awareness levels are low. They are reacting or responding on the basis of what is coming in. They're away from reality. And lastly, what is the ECG? Like you have an ECG for the heart. Similarly, what is the ECG for the heart of leadership? E stands for energy. C stands for compassion. And G stands for gratitude. So if you do not practice these things, they become a big cause for leaders to fail. And I'll just explain high energy. If you do not have energy, you are not energetic, you will not be in a position to motivate your team. Compassion. If you do not help people when they're in distress, you do not show the torch, you do not show them the path, If you do not signal that you are there for them, how will you endear loyalty? How will you make people bond with you? And lastly, gratitude. Now, gratitude is acknowledgement, appreciation. When someone acknowledges you and appreciates you and accepts you, I call it the 3 A's. How do you feel, good or bad? When someone accepts you as you are, acknowledges you, and appreciates you, don't you feel good? Yes, you feel good. So when, as a leader, you accept your team members for their strengths and weaknesses, you acknowledge what they do, and you appreciate what they do good. What are you doing? Again, you are bonding with the team, you are binding the team together, you are earning their loyalty, and you are becoming an effective and influential, transformative, authentic, whatever word you might like to give, that type of a leader. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, put them in the chat box, and I'll try my best to answer them to the best of my ability. If your boss is bad, how to give them feedback? Now, can you define, Reva, can you define this word bad? What do you mean? Okay, now Reva says, great session, sir. Should the leader not have healthy ego at all? You're absolutely right, Reva. Everything in life has a positive and a negative. It's only when you cross the midline and you start going towards the negative. Similarly, ego is very essential. Ego is good. It makes you survive. But when your ego becomes only I, me, my, I'm right, I'm everything, I'm God, then it becomes bad. And a healthy ego never does that. A healthy ego looks at your interest and realizes that your interest lies in bonding with other people, because in life you cannot achieve anything on your own. Sangeeta, how to handle demotivating leaders? Well, Sangeeta, you got to work on yourself. You got to learn the technique of pause. I know it's very frustrating. I know it's very traumatic at times. I know it's highly demotivating. But you have to keep your sanity so that the behavior of the leader does not lead to you becoming inefficient, demotivated, and ineffective. And how do you do that? Learn the technique of pause. Do not react. Again, it's a simple technique. Like your leader is talking to you in a highly demotivating manner. Now you want to give it back. You want to say, ish, this is stupid. No, I cannot do it. Don't react. Take a deep breath. Allow the stimulus to pass. And once the stimulus passes, your prefrontal cortex, that is your thinking brain, comes into picture. It will say, Sangeeta, hold on. This man or woman, you know, behaves this way, is highly demotivating. Your job is to do this thing. Go ahead and do it. Number two, once the atmosphere becomes highly toxic, a stage could come when it becomes toxic, so toxic that you cannot bear it anymore, and your sanity starts getting impacted. Hold your horses, stay calm, start looking for an alternative. After all, you're not married to this job. There are thousands available. Go out looking for another job. And there was a very interesting research which said people do not leave jobs, people leave bad leaders. Jiva says, agree. Happy to see you and your humble support to us. Thank you, LinkedIn. From LinkedIn, leaders should always be empathetic and take a mature outlook while dealing with the team or any scenario. Yes, that is absolutely true. Here we were discussing what are the causes which do not allow the leaders to be empathetic and take a matured view or an outlook or an action. Another person says, this is amazing, so many great tips. Thank you, you are welcome. Sangeeta, TQ. Oh, Sangeeta, what is this TQ? Jiva says, thank you, sir. Okay. You know, I'm very poor on this modern day lingo. Office thoughts run even after office hours, weekends. How to have quality time for family, self, sir. Please help. Yes, it's a good question. It's a thing which all of us get impacted. And yes, the office, whatever happens in office, eats into our personal time, and whatever happens in our personal life a number of times eats into our office life. Let me give you a small exercise for this thing. That is, learn to manage your attention. And the simple way is, close your eyes and focus your attention on your nostrils and breathe normally for 5 minutes with your eyes closed, and your job for 5 minutes is just to feel the sensation of the breath going in and the sensation of the breath coming out. Now, what's going to happen after a few seconds? Some other thoughts would come in. The moment you realize some other thoughts have come in, with all the love, consideration, and compassion for yourself, bring your attention back to your nostrils. Initially, you might find it tough, but within a week, 10 days, you'll start finding a change in your ability to focus your attention on something. Do it for 15 days, see the results for yourself. If you benefit, continue it. If you don't, throw it in the waste paper basket. Now, the exercise which I've given you is the mother of all exercises. Is the mother of all exercises which help us to focus our attention. And once you learn to focus your attention, it is going to be very simple not to get distracted by office thoughts. And let me give you a simpler way. You guys brush every morning, and I'm sure you do, otherwise you would be stinking, right? When you brush for those 2 minutes, focus all your attention on brushing, as if nothing else matters at that point of time. Just for 2 minutes. And this will do the same thing what the 5 minutes exercise does. Because our brain learns for repetition, and when you repeatedly get your attention back to the object on which you are focusing, the brain automatically learns to keep, or your mind automatically learns, the brain and mind automatically learn to keep your attention focused. So just try it out. Team Creator. Yes, the Team Creator says you can follow Sandeep on Creator to know whatever. Whenever I'm live, yes, I'm coming live every Saturday. You guys can also follow me on my LinkedIn page. It is Sandeep Gupta Delhi. Follow me there, and I keep writing about these things. Connect with me. My email ID is talkwithsandeep1956. Sorry, talkwithsandeep56 at the rate gmail.com, and my number is 9810730653, and you can always WhatsApp me. So with this, if you have nothing else, no more questions, I would like to close it. And quickly, one takeaway from today's session. 98107353. Jiva, can you type out the correct number in the chat box? 9810730653. Yes, correct. Okay, so one takeaway from today's session, or just one thing which you would be following, which you plan to practice and which will change or transform you or help you to become a better leader. I've shared so many tips with you today. ECG, empathy, compassion, gratitude. Brilliant. Self-awareness, Sangeeta says. Okay, brilliant, guys. Next Saturday, I'll be talking about leading a startup. And my focus would be the mistakes we do in leading a startup, what we should not do, because everyone knows what we should do, but most do not know what we should not do. So join me again next Saturday, same time on Creator. Bye-bye, thank you, and namaste.